Another kind of deep one I want to ask. Pickup artistry has a bunch of techniques to seduce women, like negging, routines, flirting, and many other things. But what does it actually take at its very core to seduce a woman? Take away all the techniques. What exactly is the core of game itself? Like, what actually gets her to pay attention to you and come home with you? What is that thing?
I mean, it depends how specific or broad you want to get here. At the end of the day, you need to be someone that she wants to sleep with, right? You need to be attractive. That's going to be like the first step. And then the next step is to overcome any objections that then move that forward. So you might have a girl that is incredibly attracted to you, wants to fuck your brains out, but she's married with 3 kids and that's more important to her than having sex with you. So you're going to face like some form of rejection there. You probably won't be able to get over depending on the girl. So yeah, number one is like having attractive traits, personality in order to create a level of attraction, and then overcome any objections that might come, including like slut shame or her logistical concerns about waking up early, stuff like that. The very like basic broad level, it's those 2 things. But I mean, if you want to get more specific than that, we can.
I think to distill it really down is that you as a man, you are an emotional penis. Your job is to emotionally stimulate her. If you can't emotionally stimulate her, you have emotional erectile dysfunction. That's it. Right?
I like the attraction versus comfort paradigm, which is more or less what Marcus just said. It's, hey, every girl is going to have a threshold for she needs at least this much attraction. She needs at least this much comfort. Different archetypes of women, they need more comfort or less comfort, but they kind of have a baseline threshold. You need to be this attractive. And then, yeah, if she's a mother with 3 children and she loves her husband, yeah, you probably don't have enough comfort, and that's going to create an objection. I really like that mental model.
I want to be very careful with how I say this, because I remember, I think where was this? Models. I read Models a little while ago, and everything can kind of be distilled down to the needy man versus the non-needy man. But some guys will think, when I say that they can just play it cool and not show intent. Oh, yeah, I don't need anything from her. But at the same time, yes, you need to push the interaction forward, not hold back. You think she's hot, say it. But I think there's a huge element of this where it's just being comfortable in your own skin as well, too. You don't need it to go well, but yes, learn how to deal with objections, learn how to do all that stuff too, because that will come up. And also, friends is another thing too. Learn how to, talk to the friends, make them feel comfortable. Bunch of techniques to seduce them. Yeah.
If you want to distill it down to like really simple, like if you're going to do like really basic stuff, like the first one is you need to go somewhere where there are women, right? It's super basic, but this is the core. Like these things need to happen in order for it to work, right? You have to go somewhere where the women are. A lot of people don't even do that. They play around on their phones or whatever. They don't even go. So you got to go there first off. Then second of all, you have to try, okay? Because a lot of guys go there and they don't try. You're going to have to approach, try to talk to them. You're going to have to try to get her number or escalate things, whatever it is. You're going to have to try. And then if you're doing those 2 things, and the third thing I'd add to that, which this part is actually, a lot of people don't talk about in the community, but I think it's the hardest part to actually teach, is you got to be like a likable person. Right? Like there's so many guys who like, they want to learn lines and routines and this and that. And we teach all that. That's great. I love my openers, my lines, my routines, my frames. I love all that stuff. But like, if you're like a good, likable person and you go where women are and you take action, like that's probably, I think, the core, simplest, most important 3 things to focus on if you want to just boil it down to meeting and seducing women, in my opinion.
I got some thoughts on this I've been thinking about for maybe a year. I'm not going to die on this hill, but it's just this opinion I have so far. If you really break it down to what it really is, what actually happens realistically, it's probably something along the lines of leadership and compliance. Have you guys had any similar observations or arguments against that?
What was it? Sorry, leadership and
compliance. Just to briefly explain,
compliance.
There are so many guys who don't even lead in the first place.
Yes,
I think Devin was talking about it, where they're just like, let me say my opener and then hang back. Like there's a lack of leadership and a lot of men, and they kind of want to start an interaction, and then they don't really lead it anywhere. They just wait for the woman to respond, and then, oh, I got to come up with my next line, instead of actually leading in terms of, I got to take her. Jordan mentioned an indirect opener example, like, where's the nearest McDonald's? In my mind, the easiest way, of course, this is just super simplified, the easiest way to transition that into taking her with you is simply, oh, there it is. You want to come with me? Like, as simple as that. There's a leadership element in that is necessary. And if you can find a way to build up the compliance so that she can actually go with you, whether it's McDonald's or whatever, that ultimately tells you whether or not she's interested. Because if she doesn't go with you, she's not interested in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. I think. Oh, sorry, go.
Yeah, so that is great, but a lot of guys will kind of misinterpret that, and they'll think that they need to sign first to lead. So they need the extended eye contact to approach. They need the playing with the hair, the staring in the eyes, all this stuff to express intent. And so they'll kind of say that's her complying, but at the same time, it could just be like her questioning, like, what's going on. But yet it's this Mexican standoff where the guy's waiting for the girl to show a sign first, and the girl's waiting to see like what's going on before she lets her guard down. And then it's just like this. So yes, you need to unapologetically lead and not wait for permission.
Yeah, you're gonna ask for the sale. I don't know if you guys have ever read Way of the Wolf, Jordan Belfort's Straight Line Persuasion. That's very similar to how I view a successful pickup. Is basically, all right, there's these little checkpoints throughout the interaction. It lets me know what the next step is. It's just every interaction is more or less the same. We need to have our opener. We need to escalate a little bit. We need to get her alone in a place where sex can happen. And then, cool, you guys know the rest from that point. It's just a matter of looking at it and, okay, what are kind of the core basic elements of this? But yeah, it's always you that's driving. It's always you that's advancing the interaction forward. You're just kind of temp checking with her. So yeah, the compliance loops, those are good, but also being able to read those indicators of interest are also good, because they can all just more or less give you a feel for when you should advance to the next checkpoint. I think that's a good way to kind of conceptualize it.
My concern with that is a lot of guys can't even read the fucking signs of interest in the first place, and a lot of guys just wait for those.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Whereas if they were leading,
you have to ask for the sale. Yeah. Like a indicator of interest is something that tells you, okay, cool, it's probably easy for me right now. Like, there's a very high probability that if I escalate in some way, if we haven't met yet, okay, great. If she looks at me and flips the hair, great. That's a great indicator. Can absolutely. But in the absence of that, it doesn't mean don't ask for the sale. It doesn't mean don't take leadership. It's just, okay, we keep an eye on that and we're kind of neutral. We're at a just baseline. If she gives us a hard, like, ew, whatever, okay, maybe we're down at a 3 out of 10 interest and we pump the brakes. We don't escalate hard, but we try to recover back up. But if she's like giving you the fuck me eyes, then yeah, to Marcus's point, grab her hand and get her out of the damn room. It's just, those indicators are basically telling you as a man, because women don't want to verbalize a lot of this. I think it's just people, we don't want to verbalize a lot of this. We actually enjoy kind of the whole process of somebody picking up on our emotions and leading us and guiding us. Everybody likes to be in that state of, oh, I don't have to think. I can just relax and let this person control. And I to a woman, it really just comes down to, okay, those indicators or those compliance loops, they tell us now is a safe time to escalate, but it doesn't mean we shouldn't try. So yeah, that's a good point, but it's also kind of why we're here.
Your microphone went a little.
I think your mic just switched over to your laptop or something, bro.
Check your settings. Yeah. I was just gonna quickly say, like, the interest thing is funny because it's like, she's sucking my dick, guys. What should I do next? Classic joke. Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah, I was gonna say we can just like combine these answers, I guess. So like taking from Joe. So action, I think, is super important. So getting over your AA or developing some level of motivation or finding a way to make it fun. So like action. Then we have like the attraction and compliance. So doing things that actually make you attractive with us, getting better looking, level of status, sexual authority, charisma. And then obviously once you have that, you need a lead. And so this is the whole idea of moving forward, sexualizing, pulling. Jordan said asking for the sale. I think that's a good analogy. And then objection handling. So this is I used to use the word comfort. I don't like it because I think some guys just try to treat them like it's their grandmother and be really nice. So I've switched my language now to like trust or objection handling. Just because, I feel like some guys like ask, oh, what's like your saddest memory and blah, 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 trying to build comfort. So I just use a different word now. So objection handling. So getting over like the friend shit or her not wanting to seem like a slut. So yeah, action, attraction, lead, objection handling. I think that's a good way to put it together.
So just for the record, we're bringing them home and not McDonald's, or we're going to McDonald's first.
Depends how hungry we are. Yeah.
I got to redo my seminar on
exactly. Yeah,
but,
Big Mac close.
You could go straight to home and then do Uber Eats for McDonald's. If the Uber Eats driver is a woman, freeze them.
True.
Looking like a true MPOA, dude. That's what's up.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
She says, are you going to give me a tip? Well, that depends. You can get this one.
Yeah, leadership and compliance. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a good lens to look at it, right? Because you have to, like I was telling people, like we talk about IOIs, indicators of interest, and like you're saying, like waiting around for that stuff, forget it, right? But like you said, Ice, you make the compliance request by leading, and then how she responds, she's either going to indicate her interest and comply with you or not, right? And look, let's be honest too. If you're out at night and your leadership compliance request is an approach, sometimes they don't comply with the approach or want to be talked to, right? So then you move on to the next person, right? Or you talk to one. I mean, we've all had this happen, right? You talk to a girl, you lead, you approach, you have a good conversation, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to make a further move to lead this, right? And then you either ask for a number, or you try to isolate her, or you try to touch. And then sometimes you get like oh, I'm married, or I have a boyfriend, right? And they just wanted to entertain you and just have a conversation, right? So by leading, you're gauging if she's interested and if you can move.
The phrase I use for this is enabling compliance, because otherwise you're just waiting for her to make a move. The whole time, most of the time, women are waiting for you to make a move in the first place. And only through then can you really see the biggest signs of interest. Can you actually see her compliance, for example?
Yeah. Leadership shows confidence. That's what confidence is. It's, I'm going to make this move forward because I believe in myself and I assume you're attracted to me. So I'm going to make this move forward, right? And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But it has to happen. And a lot of guys, especially new guys and even who've been in it for a while, like they drop the ball when it comes to leading forward, which, you know, you're never going to get to the promised land if you don't, because you can't sit around and wait for the woman to do it.
One of my biggest problems for a while is, we all know the girl that's super interested playing with the hair. We all know the girl that's like, fuck you, she won't get off her phone. She keeps texting when you go over an approach. I think a lot of guys, including myself, I used to struggle with the neutral ones. So if I went up and I made an observation, I was like, hey, you got a good taste in energy drinks there. Rockstar, okay. I like the sugar-free, whatever. And then the girl's like, yeah, no, you're right. And her eyes are lighting up. Then you're like, okay, boom, I got this. And then so you feel like you can lead the interaction forward now because you know she's into you. But if a girl looks over and she's just like, yeah, no, it's good. And then you're trying to continue the conversation. Again, you're still thinking like, is she into this? Is this okay? Should I be saying this? So yeah, it's like, what the quote that you just said there, where it's like, what was it, leadership, or what was it, leadership and then leadership. Sorry,
leadership and compliance.
Yeah, leadership, and then
enabling,
judge for the compliance or whatever. But yeah, you have to lead forward.
That's an interesting point. I just want to add something on that because that's super important. So you're talking about like what we used to call the yellow lights, or you said the neutral girls, right, Devin?
Yeah.
And, I have two examples of this. One is Sweden. I don't know if you guys have ever gamed in Stockholm, Sweden, but the girls are legendary for being very beautiful, but they're very stoic and they don't have much personality and sense of humor. And I remember I went there teaching a summer program, and a lot of guys really struggled because of what you just described, Devin, where they're like, they're not getting enough like IOI, so they're afraid to lead. But the few guys on the program who like we told them just lead and just assume they're attracted, they like knocked it out of the park because they just went for it and they weren't looking for a sign. So it's really interesting to see that there. And then actually a student of mine posted in my Facebook group a couple years ago, something I'll never forget. One guy said, I'm on dates and I don't know if the girl's into me or not. Same thing, like a neutral energy. And this guy commented, he said, when I get that, I just say, hey, you want to go back to my place? He said, a lot of times it works because they're just bored and they'll just go, or they end the date and it's over. He said, you win either way. So I'm really glad you brought that up. So even in a neutral situation, rather than looking for signs or maybe I need to build more attraction or like overthinking it, try to escalate, like Ice is saying, and then that will give you your response on where you're at.
And yeah,
it's funny because first when I was super new to this, I would just like I've been in this conversation with this woman for a while. Let me just pull out this card and say, you want to come back with me? And then, surprisingly, she said yes. In my mind, I'm like, that's actually kind of surprising. And then you get it after like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. When you do that, it's like, it's much easier. You don't have to fucking wait around so long.
Yes, it's funny to go off of that. I remember I would have girls over at my place and I wouldn't escalate. We'd be watching a movie. We'd be sitting there and I'd be so nervous. I wouldn't understand one word of what was going on in the movie because I'd be thinking, when do I make my move? Should I do it when the actress and the actor make out and there's fireworks and then go for it? Like I'd be in my head the whole time. And I just remember at one point, I was so sick of feeling like a pussy when the girl would get in her car and be like, okay, well, it was great hanging out with you. And I wouldn't make a move. So I made a move on this girl like 45 minutes into the movie. Again, I was overthinking. She wasn't giving me anything. She was, because sometimes you'll have a girl over and the movie's on, but she's like looking at you. Her legs are touching yours. You can tell. But this girl, she was watching the movie. She wasn't really into it. I was just like, fuck this. And I just started kissing her and she like jumped on me. So my point is like, yeah, the neutral girls, you have to lead forward. You don't know until you at least try.
I had the exact same thing, like waiting 2 hours, and I was like, now's not the time because there are like gays kissing, or someone just got killed, or the dog got shot, or something like that. Like, it's not a great time in the plot point right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there are a lot of girls that just don't show indicators of interest.
Learned was that sense of anxiety.
You gotta make the move.
That sense of anxiety is your trigger to make the move. Like to this day, hey, every now and then you still see a girl. I don't know about you guys, but I still see a girl every now and then. I'm like, whew, shit, she's hot. Like actually with my girlfriend right now, that was the exact feeling. I was like, holy shit. But yeah, it's just like the indicator. Okay, now's the time when you're sitting there on the couch, and I've had the same fucking experience. I think we all have on this call at some point when we're not great. You're sitting there with the girl, and you're like, fuck, is it time yet? Yeah, that's just the indicator to fucking go for it. Like in your mind, reframe that as nervousness about failing to anticipation to excitement to, okay, cool. Anytime that you feel nervous about anything, it's like 99% of the time you should just fucking try it. That is your key indicator. This is exactly what you should be doing right now.
What I was about to say is like, I generally don't look for indicators of interest because I just don't get it. Right. I go for compliance because that's a more truer test. But I was also going to say that some girls like that come from a conservative culture or religion, like say Asian girls, I've dated that will not show any IOIs whatsoever, will not hold my hand, will not kiss me in public, but take her into my car and she'll start sucking my dick. Right. So training oneself to never look for IOIs and going for the compliance and, to White's point, to showing leadership, I think that's a truer sign because that also essentially leads into like getting her consent, right?